Are those embarrassing tummy troubles finally driving you insane? Are you ready to get down to the root cause of it? If that's you, then you are in the right place. In today's video, I'm going to be answering your question, what causes bad gut health? So let's jump right on in. Hi, I'm Dr. Kelly Shockley, Doctor of Cause, chiropractic, board certified in sports medicine, and specialized in clinical nutrition. In today's video, we're going over the #1 reason why your gut is unhealthy. It's something you do on a regular basis without even realizing it. Then we're going to discuss why 30% and in some areas as high as 60% of Americans have unhealthy guts. Finally, we're going over the most common way you're killing off the good guys in your gut without even knowing it. Okay, let's get started. What is the #1 reason your gut is unhealthy? Has to do with what you're putting in your mouth. Okay, what is this that I'm talking about? It is known as sugar and everything that basically gets converted to sugar very quickly. So your fried foods, your high glycemic foods, anything that's packaged, processed, all the stuff we know we shouldn't be eating, but sometimes it ends up in our diet anyway, and sometimes it happens unknowingly. So what is the deal here? Okay, well, the biggest truth is that those foods stress your gut and it causes inflammation in the gut. It's the best way to cause inflammation, which inflammation is the root cause of all disease and illness, guys. Inflammation, if you're not quite certain what that is, it's like fire inside of you. So it's like your belly is actually on fire. That creates quite the picture. No wonder you would be experiencing, indigestion, gas and bloating, diarrhea, constipation, all the things that nobody wants to talk about. If your belly's on fire, you can picture why that reality would actually be true. So when it comes to high glycemic foods, actually, let me say it this way. When it comes to sugar, one thing that would be really helpful is to start creating awareness about what foods you're consuming that have sugar in them. Now, I'm not suggesting that you have to keep a food diary or start counting calories, but if you're going to grab a food that comes inside of a container or a package, a box, and it has all the nutrition facts on it. Also, another way to think of this, if it's coming in some altered form from how it presented itself in nature, you need to have some awareness. It's really fascinating where sugar shows up without us even knowing it. So for example, if you're somebody who reaches for the low fat or no fat version of anything, whether it's yogurt or cottage cheese or milk or what have you, compare that to a full fat version if you can even find one. What you're going to find is the full fat version has far less sugar in it than the no fat and low fat version. And the fat in those products generally is not bad and oftentimes is where a lot of the fat soluble vitamins and nutrients that your body would benefit from are found. So the low fat, no fat options have less nutrient density to them and have more sugars in them. They have to try to make it taste good somehow. So that's one area to create awareness. And then like if you're eating crackers or chips or, you occasionally have something that's frozen on hand so you can just quick pop it in the oven, look at how much sugar they are putting into the foods you're eating, okay? Sugar is hard. It is the most addictive substance known to man. It's 8 times more addictive than cocaine. And your body treats it as if it were a drug. So if you've ever tried to cut sugar out of your diet but really struggled, that's why. It's basically an addiction. And it's interesting because it's everywhere. Okay, so it makes it really hard to cut it out unless you start eating whole foods. Okay, so glycemic index starts to talk about foods and how high they spike your blood sugar. So again, it's still all along the lines of sugar. And there are certain foods that will spike blood sugar higher than others. The higher the glycemic index, the more stressful this food is for your body and for your digestive system specifically. So this index, it's basically a spectrum. 0 on one end, about 100 on the other. The closer to 100 you are, the more stressful, higher glycemic index the food actually is. So sugar itself ends up at about a 68. Foods that are higher than that are really your grains, some of your fruits, any of the processed foods will have a lot of those types of ingredients in them as well. So start to create a little bit of awareness on glycemic index, okay? And then foods that just have a lot of junk in them, like a lot of additives, a lot of other like preservatives, emulsifiers. When you look at the ingredients, if it has more than 5 in it, it's probably going to be stressful to your gut. So try to start eating more whole, real foods the way that nature intended them, and less of the foods that you find in the aisles. One of my best suggestions for you that's the easiest to follow, though it can be a little complicated, it's the easiest to give. We'll say it that way, right? Shop in the perimeter of your grocery store, except for the bakery. Skip the bakery, okay? The perimeter is where you find all of your whole foods. The only aisle that is safe to some degree is the fats, oils section. And in that section, the only ones I would ever suggest that you buy is like your coconut oil, avocado oil, grass-fed butter. Of course, that's in the dairy section. Ghee you'll find in that aisle. and then extra virgin olive oil, cold pressed would be better. Okay. The rest of them, forget it, because they're all less healthy than what they could be for you. Stay away. Stay out of the aisles. I tell my people that death comes via the aisles. So if you can remember that and at least limit how many of your groceries that you're bringing home come out of the aisles, you will already be setting yourself up for better gut health. Something else to think of when you're consuming high amounts of sugars or high glycemic foods or the foods that you find in the aisles, you're feeding the bad guys that live inside of your gut and actually killing off the good guys in your gut. I don't know if you're aware of what they call the microbiome, but there's this ecosystem that lives inside of your gut, and it's comprised of a lot of good guys, and there's some bad guys in there also. And it's fine as long as everybody stays in check and you have normal balance. But when the good guys start dying off because you're killing them with what you're consuming, and all the things I just mentioned will do that, and ultimately in turn you're feeding all the bad guys, now we're out of balance and now your gut doesn't behave the way that it should. So I'm curious, did you have any idea that sugar could actually destroy your gut health? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you've ever tried to cut it out and have found that it doesn't go over so easily, share that experience with me too down in those comments below. Awesome. Now we're going to discuss a little known reason about why you have bad gut health and why really in general it's 30% of Americans, but in certain areas it's as high as 60% of Americans. And it's something nobody is really discussing. What am I talking about? I'm talking about how you first came into this world. Were you born vaginally or were you the result of a C-section or a cesarean section? In general, in America, about 30% of Americans are born via C-section, and in some areas, 60% are born via C-section. Okay, now, when there are emergencies, C-sections can be absolutely necessary. But unfortunately, most of the C-sections in America come out of convenience. And what we're learning in the last 5 years, probably no more than that, is that babies that are born via C-section just don't have the same type of microbiome as babies who were born vaginally. And ultimately, how that translates is babies that were born C-section generally have more health problems than those that are born vaginally. Now, why is that? There's research being done now probably to further discern where our first inoculation of the microbiome comes from. But the thought is right now that it happens while we're being delivered. So when baby's going through the canal and coming out vaginally, there's a lot of good bacteria that live inside of that space. And that's what baby's being exposed to and bathed in, which ultimately is the first inoculation of the baby's microbiome that lives inside of baby's intestines. On the other side of that, if a baby is born C-section, then the baby's first exposure to the outside world and these bacteria are what's on mom's skin. And just like on mom's skin and your skin, that's where all the bad guys live. We have a ton of bad bacteria on our skin. You don't even want to know what's on your skin. But there is a definite difference. So if you were born C-section, you can't change that reality right now. The good news is you can really rebalance your microbiome. So you don't have to feel like it's the end of the world if that's how you came into this life. But that could create kind of an epiphany of like, maybe that's why when I was a kid, I had chronic ear infections. Or maybe that's why I ended up having to get my tonsils out when I was in grade school. And then maybe I had all these sinus issues and allergies. If you have gone through life and you've had several different health challenges or were sick often in these types of forms or matters, that could be part of it. You didn't have a strong microbiome, which is where your immune system lives, okay? So what I think they're probably researching right now is if some of that actually starts in the womb, and we won't know. So my ideal for people would be don't schedule a C-section out of convenience. If it has to happen because of an emergency, then by all means. But it's better for baby to come through the vaginal canal. If a C-section is imminent, there is a new technique that they're using that's called swabbing. And it sounds gross, but actually, if this helps baby get off to a better start, then by all means, this is what we need to do. Basically, they will swab the inside of the canal of mom with gauze, and then they'll drape baby's face with this to help expose the baby to the good bacteria that he or she would have been exposed to through the delivery process. Fascinating, right? Before I get into the most common way you're killing off all the bad guys without even knowing it, I would love to remind you to just quick subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on. That way you never miss a future episode. I am regularly producing videos about gut health, brain health, everything health related, and how you too can take back control and achieve what I like to call total body mastery. So go ahead and click that subscribe button down below and turn the notifications on and you won't miss out. Awesome. All right, it's time. What is this most common way you're killing off the good guys in your gut without even knowing it? It's all of the antibacterial products you're using on a regular basis. And can we just say that there's been a severe increase of that with all of the COVID-19 stuff that's happened? I mean, there was reason people felt like they needed to do more of that, and I get it. But here's the thing. Mayo Clinic itself, years and years ago, probably even decades ago at this point in time, did some research on people who use antibacterial soaps on a regular basis compared to those who just use classic normal soap that's not antibacterial. And what they found was the people who used more antibacterial products on their body actually had more bad guys living on their skin compared to people who were just using regular soap. How many different types of products can you think of that are part of your daily regimen that say antibacterial on it? With that thought, remember back in the day when they used to give antibiotics for every single thing? And then all of a sudden we started ending up with these antibacterial resistant strains of bacteria? Well, it's survival of the fittest, baby. And the fact of the matter is, the more we expose the bad guys that live around us, and they're never going away, and the ones that live on us, the more powerful they're going to be becoming, because yes, the weak guys are going to die, but the strong ones are going to be able to adapt and be able to resist and still thrive. Okay. Ultimately, too, what you don't realize is those antibacterial products also kill off the good guys. So it's already self-defeating in the fact that we're strengthening the bad guys and we're killing off the good guys. So my suggestion is don't use antibacterial products. Okay. There was something really interesting that was done, and I forget the name of the actual company, but there's a company out there that started producing probiotic cleansers. Instead of using all the harsh antibacterial cleaning agents, they were creating cleaning agents that utilized probiotics as their source of getting rid of what was on your surfaces. They had a hospital designate like 4 different rooms. Actually, it was 8. It was 8 rooms. And 4 of the rooms were cleaned with the harsh chemicals, and 4 of the rooms were just cleaned with these probiotic cleansers. And they put petri dishes in all of these rooms and just kept them there on the countertops. And what was fascinating was in the rooms where the harsh chemical agents were being used, those petri dishes were overgrown with all kinds of grossness. And in the rooms with the probiotic cleanser, the petri dishes had next to nothing in them, except one. So the one, it was a mystery. It's like, what in the world happened in this room? So as the researchers went back to the hospital and the cleaning staff, they figured out what had happened was there was a massive bleed incident in that room. And the cleaning people didn't trust the probiotic agent, so they used some of the harsh cleaning agents in that room. Aha, interesting. So what in the world is happening? Well, what I've learned from that research that was done is these antibacterial, the harsh cleaning agents, what they do is they do kill the bad bacteria. But bacteria is so itty bitty, teeny tiny, and so are the viruses. They're even smaller. And our cleaning, apparatus, our towels and all that, they're not strong enough to pick up the dead microbes. So think of it as like you just killed everything and there's a bunch of dead bodies all over the countertops, which sounds really grim, but go with me. I mean, it's a good visual, right? That acts as a food source for more critters, more microbes. So no wonder the petri dishes in the rooms with the harsh cleaning agents had overgrowth of all kinds of different microbes. They had a ready food supply there for them. It was like the buffet. Versus if you use a probiotic cleaning agent, good guys actually clean up the dead bodies, if you think of it that way. They dispose of it. There's not a food supply. Like, it's not the buffet, eat all you can scenario for the bad microbes. Fascinating. So same thing kind of can happen with your body. So use normal soap, not antibacterial products. The hand sanitizers, guys, if you really feel like you need a hand sanitizer, you can simply make it out of rubbing alcohol, aloe vera gel, and throw in some essential oil to give it whatever aroma you want. Far better for you. It's not going to kill off all of the good guys in the process of killing bad guys. And it's not exposing the bad guys to, hey, here's what we use as a weapon to get rid of you. That way they can't create a defense mechanism against it. Makes sense, right? And the other side of that is to use probiotics, find a probiotic cleaning company, okay? And add probiotics into your world to help put the good back into your body and start like re-inoculating your microbiome, which is that whole ecosystem that lives inside of you. Now, if I have you sitting there going, okay, what in the world should I be eating to actually help promote good gut health and not stress the gut out and promote bad gut health? Don't waste another moment on that thought. I've got you covered. If you look down in the description right below the video, you'll see a link there. That link is going to give you immediate access to a 7-day meal plan that basically helps show you how to eat for optimal gut health. And when you eat for gut health, it optimizes your brain health too. So in this 7-day meal plan, I've got you your grocery list, your meal plan, which was created for people who are super busy or don't really want to cook on a regular basis. Because let's face it, who has time to do that every single day, multiple times a day? I definitely do not. So this meal plan was created for those of us who don't want to spend every hour cooking or just can't cook on a regular basis. And then it includes all these tasty recipes that will help to increase your gut health and your brain health and have you living just healthy and happy again. They've been kid approved too, by the way, and they're easy to make. They don't take a ton of time. So click that link in the description down below and you can start eating your way back to better gut and brain health. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks so much for being here, and here's to being healthy.